Your game collection is missing some really good games. Well, statistically speaking at least. There are a ton of great games that come out every single month, and so it's easy for fantastic titles to pass me and you by. Of course, a store-wide sale on Steam is the perfect opportunity to find your next hidden gem, and I'm here to help you. Most sell recommendation articles and videos understandably focus on deep discounts, but I would like to do something a little bit different. My focus is going to be on quality over quantity. Instead of buying a dozen games you never end up playing, I hope that you add maybe 1 or 2 games to your cart, you play them, and then maybe they become your next favorite game. Of course, I'm only going to tell you about titles that are on sale, but some of these games are going on sale for the first time ever, so the discount may only be 20%. But these are games that you wouldn't regret buying at full price, and for a few more days, you can get them for as cheap as they've ever been. By the way, I'm subscribed to Humble Choice, and that gives me an extra 15% off the Humble store. I know some of you are Humble members too, so I'm going to leave Humble links where I can because that gives you an even bigger discount. Oh, and these sorts of videos don't usually get a lot of love on my channel. This is a real labor of love for me, so if you do enjoy this video, make sure to hit the like button so that I know that you enjoyed it and so that it spreads to more people too. You rock. All right, let's get into it. Sometimes a game checks all the boxes: gameplay, narrative, vibes, the whole nine. Signalis is one of those games for me. If you've never heard of it, it's kind of like, imagine Dead Space, but made for the Vita. You play as a biomechanical humanoid, which they call replicas, on some sort of off-world government facility. This facility is derelict, and so it starts out really lonely, but soon you find other replicas that are in a sort of zombified state, and often you're gonna have to kill them to survive, but you also have to conserve your ammo and manage your healing items, especially on the higher difficulties. Some of the gameplay is reminiscent of the PS1 Resident Evil games, but there are no tank controls here. Aim at your target and a red box appears. The longer you wait to take your shot, the smaller the box gets and the higher the damage when you do shoot. That's one of the keys to conserving your ammo. Aim, hold steady, then shoot for maximum damage. And as far as the narrative goes, Signalis does a great job of making you want to pull at the little bit of dread it gives. It's confusing and obtuse at first, but it front loads the sort of hallmarks you like to see from good sci-fi mystery. There's existential crisis of androids, there's loneliness and hazard that comes with planetary colonization, and there are politics of outer space conflict. In that way, it's really hard to put down. The moment-to-moment gameplay is engaging, but the overarching mystery is what keeps you pushing forward. That's something that only a few games manage to do well, and Signalis is on that shortlist for me. On the other hand, the narrative of Pizza Tower is of no consequence whatsoever. I mean, there might be a narrative there, I just don't remember. You want to know what I do remember? The intricacies of every moment I can make or miss, because I've already played them out like Doctor Strange in Avengers Infinity War, except it wasn't in my head. For any given level, I had to make every mistake I could make on my way to achieving the best possible rank. You see, most good platformers like Mario and Sonic, these are games that can be enjoyed casually. They're fun if you're brand new to video games, and they're fun if you've been playing for decades. I'm 99% sure that applies to Pizza Tower 2, but I wouldn't know because I can't stop trying to perfect every aspect of each level. The addiction starts innocently enough. Oh cool, I got a B rank, I guess I can try going for A. That A rank wasn't too bad, I had time to spare, and it looks like there might be something ahead of that. But by the time you've optimized everything and you're trying to achieve an S rank, you're sweating bullets, and then a portal at the beginning of the level opens up. Oh, okay, so I haven't mentioned, but the structure of each level is like this. You start each level at the beginning, as one does, and you have unlimited time to make it to the end. But once you make it to the end, you have to race back to the beginning within the time limit. If you've done this perfectly, and I mean perfectly, that means you found all the secrets, you collected every piece of food, you kept a high enough combo to meet the score requirements, and you made it back to the beginning with enough time. If you've done all of that, then you can go through this portal at the beginning of the level and it will transport you back to the end of the level once again for a final lap. If you nail that, you get the S rank. But if you do all of that and maintain a combo the entire time, well, now you earn yourself the most coveted of all, a P rank. And so the special sauce and pizza tower, if you will, is in the replay value. Each level introduces some shiny new stuff, and then you have to master it and optimize your route so that you too can be enshrined in the Tower of Greatness. If all that sounds too stressful, then let me introduce you to Cassette Beasts. Cassette Beasts is a monster taming RPG in the vein of Pokemon that really goes all into its Walkman cassette tape 80s 90s aesthetic. You don't capture a monster, you record them on your spare tapes. If you want to heal, you rewind your tape. And eventually you can find bootleg versions of monsters, ones that can learn moves they ordinarily wouldn't be able to because those moves are not tied to their elemental. The general vibe of the game ping-pongs from upbeat and wholesome like Saturday morning cartoons to just a little sinister and mysterious. It does this gracefully and kind of reminds me of Earthbound or Undertale. Back on the gameplay side of things, Cassette Beasts uses familiar tropes to its advantage by building new systems on top of these tropes, like the bootlegs I mentioned earlier, or monster fusion, which allows you to create new monsters altogether. There are unlockable movement abilities that you only gain after recording specific monsters. Like early on, you get a chance to record a moth-like beast, and once you do, you gain a glide ability that will help you get to parts of the overworld you couldn't get to before. The elemental stuff is all more engrossing than the typical monster taming games too, like metal can buff lightning, causing it to hit multiple targets, or water can erode earth types, which will lower their defense. This really feels like a major step forward for the monster taming genre, and I've never seen so many new mechanics layered into this style of game. It's really an easy title to recommend, so definitely check it out if anything I've said sounds interesting to you. I saw nothing but amazing reviews for Dredge, and I started to worry that it wouldn't live up to the hype for me. By the time I set sail onto Dredge's eerie and potentially haunted seas, all of those worries evaporated. In this game, you play as a fisherman whose boat has just taken a hit and is in need of a repair, so you head to the nearby island town to get it fixed. But since you don't have the money to pay, you'll need to get back on the seas to repay your debt. By the time you've come back with your first day's haul, you've gotten the vibe that things are not quite right in this town. NPCs are surprised you've taken this job on despite what happened to the last fisherman, and when you try to dig further, well, let's just say details of what happened to him are hard to come by. Over time, you'll have to go fishing at night more often, and this is when you start to see what the cosmic oceans truly have to offer. Your paranoia will build, and you'll start to hallucinate stranger creatures and scarier threats. But are they really hallucinations? The narrative itself is a little light, but the game just oozes Lovecraftian atmosphere at every turn. The fishing itself is a relatively simple minigame where you press the button at the right time to speed up the process, but also to increase your odds of getting something rare. Also of interest is the inventory Tetris you play to maximize your haul before docking, and once you do dock, there are upgrades you can buy and additional quests you can take on. The gameplay is engaging, but in a relaxing management sim kind of way. You're mostly here for the vibes, which is alright by me. But if it's action you crave, then Killbug is a twitchy first-person shooter that can surprisingly be played well with a control pad. Despite what you might expect for this style of game, you really don't need to have a mouse and keyboard. I even got a top 400 spot using my ROG Ally. That's partially because your screen is going to be absolutely inundated with bad guys in no time, and it's also because of the way you use melee in this game. First, let me explain the structure. Killbug is a little bit like Devil Daggers. There's only one arena and the goal is to get a high score. Still, the moment-to-moment gameplay is a lot different from Devil Daggers. For one, there's a lot of verticality. There are wall runs and double jumps and dashes. These movements are all very generous in favor of you, the player, and make it so that you can climb the top of the arena even with very little room to maneuver. From there, your gunshots can help you hover, especially if you're actually hitting your targets, and when you run out of ammo or you're low on health, you can slam yourself on the ground with the melee button. So the melee in Killbug is absolutely one of the most elegant examples I've seen of a multitasking button in a video game ever. It has so many uses. Your melee dashes you forward so it brings you closer to your foe, but it can also help you close the gap when jumping to a distant platform. If you successfully hit an enemy with your melee, then you also get some health back and it reloads your weapon. Finally, if you're looking straight down from the sky, the melee actually turns into a ground pound, which is somehow an even better version of the melee attack. I don't know if it has fewer recovery frames or a shorter cooldown, or if it's just more generous in some other way I haven't figured out yet. I just know that it's way better. On top of that, the enemy design is genius. Each bug has really unique properties like the slugs that leave poisonous pus on the ground, or the centipedes that are passive until you make them angry and they chase you furiously. Honestly, this feels like maybe the developers came up with a prototype of this game in a few days and then spent months and months balancing it to perfection. No enemy feels redundant and no action feels useless. Word of warning, however, if you do play this game, just know you won't be able to stop playing. If none of the games I mentioned to you so far are interesting, then let me rapid fire some other games that are on sale and you should consider checking out. Lunistis, Tinykin, Spin Rhythm XD, A Space for the Unbound, Luck Be a Landlord, Cruelty Squad, Hypnospace Outlaw, and fuck it, Octopath Traveler 2. I'm not sure that the last one is a hidden gem, but my goodness, it's good. Don't forget to hit the like if you enjoyed this video and let me know what are your hidden gems in the comments. That gang out. Goodbye.
Subscribe.
That was my son. Thanks.